I'm going to get started and welcome everybody. Good morning. Happy to see everybody here. So today we're going to talk about how to create a marketing plan. And so essentially what I really want to focus on today is we've talked in the past, the general things that go into a marketing plan. I've shown you guys a couple of the marketing plans that I've developed. And the plans that I was showing you guys are companies that are grossing 80 to 120 million. I've done marketing plans for companies that are over $1 billion and helped increase revenue almost double, right? So the marketing plans that I've done are simple. They are efficient, right? So they look at our resources and how can we squeeze every dollar out of those resources. And they have strategy and tactics. That's all you need when you're building a market plan. It does not need to be anything fancy. It does not need to be anything that is over the top. What it needs to be is effective. And in order to do that, you have to take the time to think through how you want to build a marketing plan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and go through this. Okay. So, oops, wrong one. There we go. Okay. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk about building your marketing plan. And what I want to do is as we go through this, I want everybody to pull up like a Word document or pull up a Google Drive doc or something. So go ahead and do that, so that you can have this. And what I want you to do is start building out your plan as we go through it, okay? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to write it all out, but what I want you to do is start to formulate the strategy and plan. I also have some templates that I will throw in there, but I think, to be honest with you, there's a lot of different templates you can use to build a marketing plan and a strategy. And you have to figure out what works best for you. I've done it a lot of different ways. And the real key here is thinking through every piece of your business, right? So let's think about this. What do you think is the most the most expensive thing for companies?
Marketing and advertising?
Nope. Anybody else?
Paying employees.
Boom, salaries. Okay. So salaries is the #1 biggest expense for most companies. Okay. And then what do you think the second thing is?
Overhead?
Nope. Marketing, right? So this is why those two things are so important, right? Hiring the right people and making sure that you have the right marketing plan. You get those two things right, and you are going to have a very successful company, right? So the important piece is really making sure that you have those two pieces, right? So when we think about a marketing plan, all right, why do you think this is important? It's important because as a business owner, your job is to make sure you are spending your money in the most efficient way. If you don't have a plan, how do you expect to do that, right? So what ends up happening, most businesses try to just do stuff, test things out, try Facebook, try all these things without a plan. And what does that end up doing? That ends up making you not have a strategic plan on what you're doing and test a bunch of different things and have no metrics on how you're measuring it or where you're heading. It's literally like when we all talked about going on this journey of entrepreneurship, and we said to you, the reason why having a coach is beneficial is because we help you get from point A to point B, because we've been there back and forth 100 times. If you haven't been there, how do you expect to get there? Easily. You won't. You'll be going left when you should be going right. You'll be going down the wrong ways, and you'll be trying to figure it out, and time is money. And if you don't chart your path, then what ends up happening is with no GPS, it's going to take a very, very long time to get to your destination. If you can get to your destination 10 times faster, then you're only going to be making money faster, right? So you need a plan. A plan is everything, right? So what exactly is a marketing plan? It is a report that clearly outlines your strategy for the month, the quarter, the year, whatever suits you. I've done stuff for month by month. I've done stuff by quarter. I've done stuff by year. It all depends on how you run your business. There is not necessarily a right answer. The right answer is just having a plan, right? So what is in a marketing plan? Your goals. What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve, bring in 25 students? Are you trying to bring in 3 major clients? Are you trying to, keep your retention rate high, right? These are all things that go into marketing. Sometimes people think marketing is just the front end and they forget the onboarding piece, which is honestly one of the most important pieces, right? Second thing is your budget. You have to understand where you're spending your budget. You need to know how much you make and how much you're putting into marketing. To be honest with you, you should be spending at least 10% of what you make, if not more, honestly, upwards of 20% on marketing. This is brand strategy. This is getting your name out there. This is going to events, whatever marketing is. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to go into digital, but you should be reinvesting in your business. The third thing is tactics. How are you going to get there? So you have goals, you have the budget, but you need the tactics on what you're actually going to do. And then the last thing is KPIs, which is the key performance indicators. Without these, how do you know if it's working or not? And just saying, oh, if I reach my goal of my clients, then I know it's working. Wrong answer. Why? Because you need KPIs that are leading up to that. What does that mean, right? So if you have a goal of getting 3 clients, you have to back into that number. Right? Which means if you convert at 50%, that means you need 6 leads. All right. If it takes you another 50% to get people on the phone from the DMs, what does that mean? You need 12 people to book appointments, right? If it takes you another 50% on top of that to get people to actually fill out their information, then what do you need? You need 24 people that you need to reach out to, right? So you need to back into that number with KPIs that go all the way through the funnel. You can't just have a KPI be what the overall goal is, right? So when you think about writing a marketing plan and why it's important, there are 2 different reasons. The first is it makes you think through everything in your business. It makes you think through everything that you're doing and not just marketing, because marketing is everything. It's getting people in the door, keeping them, and then getting referrals on the back end. So there are so many different things that are so important for you to think through your business. There's so many times where I've developed marketing plans and realized, oh, wow, this strategy is completely wrong. Right? So I've done marketing strategies for companies that are just under $1 billion and have huge sales teams. So what do you think I did? I literally sat in the sales room to see how they do, because that matters. Sales matters, right? So if you have salespeople, that's absolutely part of this, because you have to include that as part of the customer journey, right? So it really makes you think through every part of your business, right? The second thing is it helps you stay focused. When you have a plan and a charted path, I mean, how many of you put a GPS on and deviate from it? Very few, right? So when you have a charted path and something that's telling you where to go, you're going to most likely follow that. Without a plan, you're not going to be able to actually do that, right? So what are the steps? Probably like, Alexa, all right, I get it, it's important, I understand, I need KPIs, I need goals, but what the hell do I do, right? All right, so the first step is you want to write an executive summary. So basically, this is your vision and mission statement. This is your executive summary of what are you trying to accomplish with this plan, right? It's who you are, it's where you're heading, and what are you trying to accomplish with this plan, right? The second thing is you need to develop your guiding principles. What this basically means is what is guiding the strategy and the plan? What market research did you do? Are you using market research to understand where your audience is? So for instance, are you using market research, Maggie, to guide your messaging in terms of people that maybe have cancer? Like, how do you approach that? Or what is the strategies that you're using on finding these people, right? Or, Elizabeth, what's your guiding principles to create your marketing strategy on, the way that you're going to market in email marketing? Whatever it is, you need market research. You need to understand who they are, what they're looking for, what their pain points are, what your competitors are doing. All of that develops your guiding principles on how you're developing your plan, right? Third, create your goals and objectives. This is going to allow you to understand what is my high overarching goals. If your overarching goals is in which normally your goals don't have actual numbers in them, it's high level, right? So you want to create more exposure for your new product that you just put out. And let's say you want to increase your revenue, year over year, right? So those are overarching goals. Your objectives are going to be hard numbers. We want to increase 25%. We want to, increase our retention by 5%, right? So you're going to have hard numbers here. So that's really the difference there. Then you want to outline your user persona, right? You want to understand, who are you actually going after? Who are these people? What do they look like? This is literally your avatar. Then you want to research your competitors. Again, this is going to go into your guiding principles, right? You want to set realistic KPIs. And why I say realistic is you don't want to develop something that is not realistic, because otherwise you just become overwhelmed, you become stressed out, and you're not going to want to do it, right? So you have to create KPIs that are actually achievable. It's better to overachieve than to underachieve, right? But you do want to put stretch goals. If you feel really, really confident you could get 2 clients a month, set it at 3, right? And try to reach that goal. But if you set it at 5 or 6, that might be a stretch, right? The 7th thing is you want to create your tactics and the actionable strategies that you can actually achieve. And then the last is you want to set tracking and reporting guidelines. So how do you actually measure the KPIs? If you're measuring, for instance, conversion rates, how are you actually doing that? Are you using Google Analytics? Are you using some sort of Excel that you created? You want to actually get kind of in the nitty gritty, understanding exactly how you're going to report this, how often you're going to report this. Maybe it's a report you create once a month. Whatever it is, you want to have guidelines, right? So I'm going to go over like a high overarching plan, right? So first is first. Everybody, you have your documents open. First page is just your cover page. Put your logo, marketing plan, 2021, confidential if you want, and the date. You always want to update the date, right? So everybody create this real quick, right? So page 1 is pretty simple. That's it. Okay, page 2, you're going to create a summary. This is your summary. This is your summary that is just basically, again, going to go over exactly what is going to be in the plan, right? So this is your high overarching executive summary. It's going to be your vision, what's your mission, what you're trying to accomplish, and what is this plan going to do for you? This plan is a broader effort to meet and exceed enrollment goals. This was this plan, right? As an example, right? It was created by X, Y, and Z. So you would put, this was created by the CEO and who you are, right? The next thing you want to do is what's leading this. That's the guiding principles, right? So this was in close coordination with different departments. This was using historical data, market research, market trends, and best practices, which, oh, by the way, all of this is in the appendix, right? So I have all of the research that was behind this plan. Guiding principle was that we had to rebalance our resources, right? Because the resources were all over the place and they had to be rebalanced. The 4th thing is to create a systematic method to calibrate performance. There was no KPIs. And the 5th was to align both plans, right? That were leading the organization. Next thing is you want to have your areas of focus. So where are you focusing? What are the high overarching things? There's so many different things in marketing that you can focus on. Retention, getting new leads, building out brand awareness, email communication. There's so many different things you can focus on, and you can't focus on it all. So you need to have, what are my 3 things, my areas of focus that I'm going to focus on? And that is it. Don't overwhelm yourself. The next thing is you want to create your goals. Again, these are very high overarching things. So maybe one of your goals is to create brand consistency throughout your whole customer journey. Maybe another example is to develop a new source of leads, right? That's a goal. Third could be you want to improve your email communications and conversion rates in your sales funnel, right? So that's another example. Then you want to create your objectives, right? And again, these are hard numbers, right? So I like putting straight numbers of what I'm trying to achieve numbers wise. This is really important because it allows you to gives you that destination of where you're heading. Then you want to create your strategy, which is the what. What are you actually going to do? You're going to develop brand consistency and create brand new talking points. You're going to enhance the website and create a best-in-class website, which then goes into optimizing it for web and mobile. You're going to enhance the marketing campaign and the awareness campaign, right? These are some examples. Some other examples that you can do is you're going to enhance your organic campaign. Or maybe you're going to start a digital marketing campaign and advertising paid media campaign. Maybe you're going to enhance your email communication. That's another example of a strategy. But this is not the how, it's the what. The strategy of what are you doing? What are the 3 things that you're going to do to move the needle this year? Right? Again, you don't want to create 10, 15 things and not accomplish it. It's better to accomplish 2 to 3 things that you know that you're going to do rather than, put 18 things on here and you don't actually do them, right? So then you're going to create your budget. So once you create the strategy, you're going to say, okay, I have a $10 million budget or whatever your budget is. Let's say your budget is $10,000. You're going to break that out. All right, I have 3,000 that's going to my VA. I think my VA should be able to get me 5 leads a month. I should be able to convert 1 or 2 of them. That's what my cost per lead will be because of my VA. That's what my cost per sale is going to be, or you can say CPA, which is cost per acquisition. And here's the target conversion, right? So this will allow you to keep tabs of exactly what you're doing with your money and how you're spending it. Then you want to create the tactics. That's the actual how, right? So this is going to be the how you're actually going to accomplish this. And that is it. So in your document, let's go back. You're going to create a cover photo and a cover image. So everybody should have their Word documents open and writing this out. So page 1, your cover. Page 2, you're going to have your summary, your guiding principles, and your areas of focus. Just put the headlines for now. Your summary, your guiding principles, your area of focus. Three, you're going to put your goals, your objectives, and your strategy. That's the what. What are you going to actually do? Then you're going to put your budget and then your tactics. And that is it. Keep it simple. You guys all got that?
Yes, that was a lot.
I'm going to put this video on the drive, and I'm also, in the course, I'm also going to create this template and put it in there. But the reason why I wanted you guys all to write this out yourself is because what I find is I'm going to give you templates, but you don't have to use my templates exactly, right? What you want to do is use what is helpful for you. All right. So for instance, sometimes people, are motivated more by, putting the measurements first or the budgets first, etc. Right? So you guys take what we give you as just a base. Don't necessarily use this as, the Bible, right? So incredibly important. So I'm going to open it up to questions. Cricket.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So this seems wow. Hold on. I'm trying to remember what my question on that because I was writing it as we were going. When we have the summary and then the guiding principles, Your area of focus. So the area of focus, it almost, I don't know, maybe I misunderstood it, right? But that versus the goals or the objectives, is it kind of leading into the same thing?
Oop, I was muted. Yeah, I mean, again, it all depends on what you are, what the most important piece is to understand where you're heading, right? And where you're heading really is your goals and your objectives. And everything beyond that leads to that, right? Because where your goals are is if you want to increase your revenue, if you want to, gain 3 more clients than you did last year, if you want to, let's say, improve the customer journey or upsell your clients on a second thing. Or, hey, for you, for instance, it's one of your goals is you want to create a mid-ticket course for people that can't afford your high-ticket course, right? That's all going to go in the goals. Right.
Okay.
And,
right.
And then your objective is going to be hard numbers, right? So you're creating the course is the goal. The objective of that is going to be, I want 10 students in it this year. Right.
Okay.
And then everything else supports that. That's really the centerpiece of your plan, because then your strategy, your tactics, all of that is going to lead up and ladder up to what your goals and your objectives are. And guess what? Your goals and your objectives ladder up to your what? Your executive summary, which is your vision and your mission, right? Of what's your overarching vision of your company and what are you actually trying to accomplish, right? And then how is this plan going to help with that, right?
Yes. And the strategy versus the tactics, is there a clear way to answer that?
Strategy is the what. So strategy is I'm going to create or develop an email communication tool. And then your sub tactic would, your tactics on that would be, I'm going to sign up for, an email provider. I'm going to hire someone to develop the content for a 10 drip campaign. It's going to be the actual hard tactics of the how. The what is that you're creating an email communication plan.
Got it. Okay.
What is going to be, I'm creating a course. The tactics are, A, I'm going to hire somebody to help me create the course. B, I'm going to start marketing this on Clubhouse. C, I'm going to create a landing page so that I can start driving people. Like I'm making it up. That's the tactics. The tactics are how are you actually going to accomplish it? The strategy is if your overall goal is to increase revenue or create different revenue streams, that is one of your strategies on how you're actually going to accomplish that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Let's have a quick comment.
Yep.
Go ahead, Emily. My comment can wait. Go ahead, Emily.
Are you sure? I guess I'm not
positive.
Thank you so much, Alexa. That was an awesome session. I guess where I get overwhelmed is knowing what strategy to take. Like there's so many different ways that you could market. And I mean, even just on the call that we were at last week, it's like, oh, text message marketing, that sounds great. Getting a VA, getting into people's DMs, that also sounds great. Like how can I prioritize what's really best for my business? Because I know it's case by case, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always everything that you can do, right? I mean, even when you're creating a studio, there's so many different patterns you can use or, sound things that you can put up to help with the sound. Like there's always going to be a lot of different noise, right? To figure out what's the best one. What we all have to do is do what we do with everything else is learn and develop a strategy based on our research, right? And so that's why the guiding principles piece is really important. Part of your guiding principles is you're going to leverage this course to help guide you on the marketing strategy, right? And tactics that have been used by other people. Another thing that you could do is do market research of people that are in your industry. So become friends with other people, maybe throughout the world, and see what works for them. And that's part of looking at marketing strategy and market research, right? That's why that market research piece is important. And one of the things that is in the course that we keep telling you guys to do is look up your avatar, your dream client, and really look at the different ways to see what their pain points are, what your competitors are doing, and then what pain points can you solve, right? That's part of this, because how do you create a strategy to attract people if you don't actually know that information, right? So Emily, there's so many different things that you can do. All you could do is test certain things out, but you still need a plan, right? So if you do your research, and after going through our course and doing research on your own, you say, you know what, I'm going to give organic a 60-day try, and I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to generate X amount of income and revenue through it and do it this way. Then you give it 60 and 90 days doing organic. Then once you get that to hit, then you can go, okay, I'm generating some steam, right? So organic is not efficient, but it's effective. You're not going to be able to create an 8-figure company necessarily through organic, but can you create a 7-figure business? Absolutely, right? So that's one tactic. And then once you start seeing that working and you have that humming, then you can move on to something else, right? And then you can maybe add paid media or something else to give a boost. But what you really want to do is, let's say hypothetically, strategy 1 is create new messaging that speaks to my customers' pain points. That's the strategy. The tactics could be you hire somebody to do this, that you do some market research to see what the pain points are. Then the third tactic can be that you're going to do some A/B testing on some landing pages to see what resonates better. And the fourth tactic is you're going to create an organic strategy, right? And then that tactic actually becomes the next strategy. So you're going to create an organic strategy to drive more organic traffic. Then the tactic is going to be you're going to hire a VA to help you create content on Instagram to attract people to your spin courses, right? Second piece is going to be that you're going to create an organic DM strategy to build relationships with potential clients. Strategy 3 could be you're going to create a hashtag strategy and a tactic on how to go find these people. So the strategy that I had shared with you guys, I think a week or two ago, that's in our course, and I'll pull it up right now to show you. This should be part of almost all of your strategies, right? Because it's part of lead gen. So it's how you actually organically find people, right? So it's called the hashtag and competitor analysis. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, right? So this would be a strategy. You're going to create an organic analysis, right? So you're going to do research on your top 50 hashtags. You're going to do research on your top 50 competitors, your top 50 influencers, and your top 10 engagement accounts. These are the people that you want to engage on, because this will help you build your page and your follower count, right? So this is an example of something that should be in your marketing strategy, that you're going to create this hashtag and competitor and influencer analysis, right? So it's a really good way to create that strategy. It's one way to do it. Another tactic could be that you're going to recreate your DM script and create a script that fits your brand. If you're doing, metrics, you're going to create a DM run rate tracker so you can keep track of everything that your VA is doing. So I created this tracker that's also in the course as well, that I've shared with you guys, of run rates. So you can literally see what are the open rates, the appointment rates, and the close rates. So once you create this and create consistency, what is that going to do for you? It's going to create a predictable business. If you know that you close at 13%, and ours is obviously going to be very low because we turn away a lot of people. But let's say, argument's sakes, your close rate's 50%. You know, if you want 5 people, you need to get 10 people on the phone, right? You know, if you have out of that 50% book appointments, you know that you need to get 20 people to book appointments. If it takes you 50% to get people to actually respond, you know that you need 40 people. So every month you need to go out and reach out to 40 different people. It starts to become more predictable. The more data you collect and look at, the more predictable you can make your business. So all of the things that we're teaching you in our course should be part of that marketing strategy, right? So every piece that we go through is part of it. So all of yours, the number one thing you should say is, I'm going to create the vision and direction for my company, not the marketing plan. Why does that matter? Because a tactic's going to be, I'm going to create my story that resonates with my audience. I'm going to do my research on what the pain points are. I'm going to create an actionable mission statement that really speaks to what we do, right? So that's an example. And so everything you do in your business, you need to have a plan. You can't operate blind. Now we're teaching you the skills and the different things and tactics that you can use. Now it's a matter about putting it into a plan that's actually actionable. Because we give you a roadmap, for instance, in the course of the things you're going to learn. What you need to do is take that roadmap and now put that into an actual plan. Now, some people say, hey, plans are a waste of time. And my argument back to that is, again, I go back to the GPS. How do you know how to get to your destination if you don't plot out where you're going? Right? So in our course, we give you a roadmap. We say month 1, month 2, month 3, and month 4. This is what you're going to learn in month 1. These are the appointments you should be setting. These are the outcomes that you should be accomplishing. You now need to take that plus everything else that you're doing in your business and put that into an actionable plan.
Thank you. That helps.
Thanks, Emily. Mike, you had something?
I did. I just wanted to make a couple quick comments. So this is a very structured approach, Alexa, and it's very repeatable. And thanks for doing this morning. For me, structure relieves stress, and less stress, more productive I am. So I think this is something that, if you can embrace this structure, it's really important for your success. And the other thing, two things that resonate, like I said, you mentioned, this structure aligns perfectly with everything you're doing, right, from your vision and mission. And that's really a key piece for me. And the second key piece that resonates with me is the KPIs. You got to have KPIs in place. And I really appreciate the fact that you hit on that, because it's critical that you have those in place so you have tangible measurements to help you manage your business. And most importantly, look at the progress you're making and make adjustments as needed. So those are things that really jump out at me. But I love this approach. It's very, very simple, it's straightforward, and it's something that's very repeatable.
The hardest plan you're going to create is your first one, because it's going to be the foundation. And to be honest with you, every year I take my plan from the previous year and I tweak it. But why this also becomes important is, as you grow and you build a team, you need a plan for them, right? So we talked about why your vision and mission statement is important. It's because it helps you get buy-in. Why a marketing plan or a business plan or both are important for your team, because you develop a strategy, a pathway, and metrics on how you get there, right? So a lot of times each strategy or tactic, I give it to somebody and say, okay, Mike, you're responsible for this tactic. Every month we'll look at how you're doing. So now it's also creating a pathway for everybody else, right? And it gives strategy and direction to everyone else, right? So Brandy, let's say you give a tactic to your daughter, right? We want to create, part of our marketing plan is we want to create 1 new video a week, right? That's part of the strategy. Who's responsible for that, right? And so now, I know it sounds silly, but now it's like, oh, we have a plan. We're creating 1 video a week, right? So even your Instagram is an example. Like you want to have, I want to post every day and I want to increase my follower count, right? So that's part of the plan, right? So it also helps you manage your team and create actionable tactics for them to do, and also how you're going to measure their performance. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
And your plan will change depending on how your business is doing. You'll add different things, you'll change different things. It will change, but once you create the first one, you have a base, and then the rest becomes easier because you have a strategy and a plan that you can just tweak. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. I have the, just kind of like the list that you had us map out, and I didn't follow all the slides because I was between screens. But when it comes to the KPIs, right, I know you have the budget. Obviously, that's how you're going to build out the cost, but where does that go in the plan?
So typically I put the KPIs at the very, very end. So I can actually, let me see if I could pull it back up, because I clicked out of it. If you just give me a second.
Sure.
But yeah, typically what I do is I put the KPIs at the very, very end. And I'm trying to find it, so give me a second. So what I would do is put it at the end of everything. So you create everything that you want to accomplish and what your tactics are. And then what you want to do is put, okay, how are you actually going to measure this, right? And accomplish this. So typically it's the very last thing that you actually do is you put your KPIs. And then sometimes, again, it all depends on how you want to accomplish things, right? So there are times where I'll actually put KPIs within the tactics. So I've done it both ways, where I have a completely different section where I have the KPIs, and then I have sections where I actually have the KPIs baked in to the tactics, right? So you could do it either way. It really is whatever is easiest for you, if that makes sense. So there's a couple different ways you can do it.
Okay. Because you could be very specific, right, in terms of the tactics. For example, with the creating the DM script to, reach out to, like 100 new prospects a week or something along those lines. That would be a tactic, correct?
Exactly. And then so the tactic would be that you're reaching out to new prospects every single week. And then the measurement of that would be A, how many, B, what's the conversion rate, and what do you expect the conversion to be? And then C, what's the outcome of that, right? So the tactic is that you're actually the how, right? So the strategy is going to be that you're going to create new lead generation sources. The tactic, one of the tactics to do that is that you're going to do more outreach on Instagram to potential clients. The KPI is going to be that you're hoping to get 3 new clients from this a month. Of that, you have to back into that again to how many people you outreach, how many people are you going to get to your website, and how many people are you going to convert. So you want to back into that number. Does that make sense?
Hey, Lex, just to comment on KPI, how I view it, and this might be helpful. You have to understand your business element fully. Once you understand it, you'll define what's important to your success. And once you define what's important, then you'll have that measurement or that KPI. So you kind of work it backwards. First, really drill down, understand what's important. Then you define that item or items, and that leads to your KPI.
Thanks.
Alexa, will we be able to find an example or that sample marketing plan anywhere in the Google Drive or on NBM?
I can't actually give you the actual marketing plan, but what I'm going to do is create a sample one, and then use that, if that makes sense. I mean, what might be helpful is maybe using one of you as an example, and then I can post that. But because of confidentiality, I can't necessarily post the actual plans that I've used, but I could create the template for you, if that makes sense.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
I'd be
Maybe
happy to
I'll
share
use
mine once I get it done.
I'll use one of you as a guinea pig. In the meantime, I'll put like a template for you guys, so you can start drafting it. And whenever you guys do your plan, tag me in it. Put a request, and I'll you know we're pretty good at that. So tag me, and we'll look at it. Any other questions?
No, thanks again. This is really good, and it's for me personally, it's really good timing. I'm just getting to the point now where I'm learning like pillar 4 and learning about the sales funnel. And right before that step, I was thinking like, how do I know what sales funnels I even want to do? You know, so this is great timing. I can learn the technical side of sales funnels, but I need to have my strategy in place before I start doing.
Exactly. And you can think of the pillars as part of your strategy too. Content strategy, a lead gen strategy, a sales strategy, right? So you can even think of your strategies high-arching in the pillars that we've created, which is honestly how I came up with the pillars, is based on the experience of what I think is important to drive revenue in a company, right? And essentially your marketing plan should be what's driving revenue in your company, right?
So I have a question
Lex.
because, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I tried to be quick, sorry. So my question is, obviously, as I mentioned to you, it's just the whole process and then doing so much. And then having 2 businesses, it's not always easy. So, obviously, focuses on making money and getting money from somewhere to, to be able to do, to create those goals for the business. So for me, it's like we talked about budget. My budget, it's not very high. So I mean, I'm willing to spend extra money, and even though I may probably spend more than I make. So like how I can create a goals and a budget at the same time that they can be complementary towards each other. And I mean, obviously, like, should I be super fast in creating those goals, like say sell funnels, something that would give me, bring me more clients that I have right now?
I mean, there are ways, Maggie, with the organic strategies that we teach it. You don't really need to spend a lot of money, right? So if you're doing that effectively and really building relationships in the DMs and with people that are engaging with your content, you don't necessarily need to spend money. It's your time that you're going to be spending. But it's a really good use of your time. What you need to start to think about, and maybe part of your marketing plan, maybe you create a 6-month marketing plan, and maybe one of your strategies is to create a community of people, right? And that can be leveraging Facebook groups and developing relationships in the DMs and going out and finding those people. Maybe those are the 3 tactics, right? So in my opinion, I think you can find who these people are. It's a matter of finding them and taking the time to build relationships with them. And as you build your community, like you'll see on my Instagram, there's a lot of the same people that comment on my stuff, because we've all become friends and we've all built a community. We're all in WhatsApp groups together. We're all in Facebook groups together, and we've built relationships and friends, and that's what you need. And then think about this, how many referrals I get from these people because they do something different than me, right? Or maybe they have a client that they can't help and they pass my way, right? That's what it is to build a network and to build a community of people that have like-minded interests, right? So that's why the vision is really important and that you all created, because what it allows you to do is figure out what kind of community am I building? What's the bigger picture here? What's the bigger why, right? let's say hypothetically you want to help people through a hard, time emotionally because they're going through something medically, right? And you want to create a safe place for them and an environment for them to make them feel good about going through that time, and also strategies and tactics to help them physically, get better through different measures, right? And what is it called when you don't use medication? What's it called? Why am I forgetting the?
Holistic.
Yeah, holistic. Thank you, Nick. Right, and you have holistic methods, right? Then you want to create a community of people that have that exact desire and want to be a part of a community like that, right? And building that type of community is how you start to get traction. And it takes time. It will take a couple months if you do it right. But once you create that foundation of a community, what that does for you is gives you a springboard of people that are behind your brand. They always say, the saying says, you only need 1,000 fans in order to, and I don't mean followers, I mean fans. You only need 1,000 fans to create a multi-7-figure business, right? And you can create a 6, 7, 8-figure business without even having 1,000 roaring fans, right? But it's a good start to try to head towards that number. So if you consider and say, how many fans do you think you really have? I can say I probably have maybe 300, 400 that I can count of people that are true fans of my brand. So stop and think to yourself, how many true fans do you think you have, and can you name them? I could, if I had to, I can name them, right? And that's the question you have to start asking yourself. If you have trouble naming more than 10 people, then you're not building your community right. And going to advertising, all it's going to do is amplify what's already not working, which is that you haven't built a community. So in my opinion, I would focus not so much on the money and the budget aspect, and focus on building that and putting your time and resources into building that community.
That's exactly what we're doing with VA. And I know that my Instagram account looks like it's very small, but from 150 that I was kind of stacked, I have 400, so
Yeah.
when you think about percentage wise, it's growing. And then now we're learning so much about each other. But I think that a lot of my fans, because I have 2 different Facebook accounts, so definitely they are my fans, like 300 people that, kind of it's there, but it's definitely, I feel like they are like looking for my content. They're looking for things like that. So I have to do strategies over there and maybe bring other people, maybe not necessarily them, because I don't know if they're dealing with any autoimmune conditions, but maybe someone that they know. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much.
Does that look like not a lot of people, Maggie? Because that's how many followers you have. So out of all these people, do you think that you can get 3 of them?
Oh, sure.
This is what your follower count looks like. That's a lot of freaking people.
Yep.
Right? So whenever somebody says, oh, I need 10,000 followers, no, you don't. That's BS. You just need to go to work building a community. You have 500 people. So now the time is to start building relationships. Get some of these people on the phone. Do video chats. Maybe at first you don't sell anything. You just build relationships. That time goes well spent, because those are going to be the people that are behind your brand, right? Any other questions before we wrap it up? Nick, you had a question?
Yeah. Hey, Lex. So I wanted to talk about like post-marketing plan, like next steps. Would that essentially be like the content pillars, like you were talking about?
Yeah.
Like building that out more in detail.
Yeah, it could be, right? So it could be everything related to touching a customer from the beginning to the journey all the way to the end is in this plan. So how do you convert them? How do you retain them? All part of this plan, right? So one of your strategies could be, and we could call them pillars. One of your strategy pillars could be you want to improve your onboarding process, right? To retain more customers. Your tactics could be you're going to create a better onboarding package for them and get a designer to make it look pretty. A second piece could be you're going to start using a project management system and create a dashboard for every single client to make them understand better what working with you is going to be like. The third piece is you're going to schedule, more phone calls in the beginning part of working on a project to make sure you're both on the same page, right? So what I used to do when I was running large scale marketing and web development projects, for instance, Nick, we would win the project and we would actually create an onboarding meeting. And in the onboarding meeting, we would digest everything that they want accomplished, right? Because you only have part of scope of work sometimes when you really like create proposals, right? So we go through the scope of work and we would actually sit there. And then what I would actually do is create a project plan and schedule a second meeting to make sure we're all on the same page, right? And so that time, it seems like it's kind of useless time, but it's not, because what it does is it A, builds trust with your client. B, it makes them see you're thinking through every single piece of this, and you can make sure that they're good. And 3, it makes them feel way more comfortable on a project, right? So all of that matters. So again, a marketing plan is how do you get people in the door? How do you get leads? How do you convert those leads? And how do you onboard people? And how do you keep people? And how do you get them to, at the end of the day, refer you? So those, in my mind, are the 5 main things that you want to focus on in a marketing plan. Does that help, Nick?
Sweet. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna have Sky, if you can just edit the beginning piece of this out and then we'll upload this. And I'll put this up, and I will also put up a template for you as well today. So we will get that done, and I will post in the group when we post this live. Sound good, everyone?
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Sounds great.
Yes,
Woo-hoo.
thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
All right, thanks, everyone.